Today we shall discuss the remaining topics that we are going to learn in our course. So, in the first overview lecture, we discussed about different types of automata. Then we saw why one should study formal languages and automata theory, and from what we study, we saw that we are going to learn about finite state automata, regular grammar, regular expression, plumbing lemma and ultimate periodicity, and Michael-Nerod theorem under regular languages. And today we can see what are the other topics that we are going to learn in this course. After regular languages, we shall learn about context-free languages and the automaton which you can design for a given context-free language is push-down automata. So, this is the structure of a push-down automaton. It has got a finite length input tape. So, the same component that we have in a finite state automaton. Then we have read head, that also was there in the finite state automata. In addition to these two, we have a stack as an intermediate storage. So, that is an additional component or the only additional component when compared to a finite state automaton. So, we have the top of the stack pointer to access the top of the stacks. Now, it is only this simple. Now, we can try to understand what a push down automaton is by an example. Here, consider a push down automata which is going to process this input AABB. Originally, the automaton is at state P, and unlike in the case of a finite state automaton, here each transition or movement is based on the current state which is P now, the next input symbol A, and the next symbol on the top of the stack which is bot. This is called the bottom symbol. Now, you can say, okay, if you are in P and you are reading small a as input, and if bot is the top of stack symbol, then you can say consume that input. So, the read head is positioned to the next symbol and retain your state. You are not changing state, but above the stack you push a capital A. So, what you did is, for a small a, you push the capital A onto the stack. Now, if you look at this configuration, the next transition is defined by the current state P, the next input symbol small a, and the top of stack symbol capital A. Here again you can say that, okay, consume your input, retain your state, and corresponding to this small a as well, you push one more capital A. And in general, suppose you have n number of A's in the left side, you will have n number of capital A's on the stack. And in this configuration, you can see that the input symbol is small b, you are reading it from the state P, and the top of stack symbol is capital A. Maybe this automaton can do this. What is it doing? What it did is, it consumed that input, then changed its state to Q, and popped out the top of the stack symbol, just taken out. What it is actually doing is, it is trying to match the number of A's and B's. So, 2 A's and 2 B's. Now, you can see that this is just like cancelling the occurrence of this small a with this small b. So, that is what the remaining is actually the number of remaining A's which you have already processed. And if you look at this configuration, you are in state Q, you are reading the input symbol B, and capital A is on the top of stack. You can say that you just pop out, you finished the reading input and you got into a stack state which is empty, nothing other than the original simple which is bought. So this means that the number of A's processed is same as number of B's. Okay, this is just an example for you to understand how push down automaton works. When we discuss about it, we can see exactly how you can design a machine. And you can see that this machine is actually accepting this language set of all A's and B's such that n number of A's followed by n number of B's for any values of n. Okay, and if you recall, this was one example language which is not regular, and that gives us proof that context free languages are more powerful than regular languages, because here is a particular language which is non-regular but it is context free. And after the push down automata, which is the automata for representing context free languages, we shall discuss about a grammar representation for context free languages which is called context free grammar. For example, you consider a grammar with these two productions or rules. If you recall from the previous lecture, when you have a set of rules, you can start with the start symbol of the grammar capital S. If I apply rule number 1, S can be replaced with the RHS ASB. Now suppose again I apply rule number 1, this capital S in the middle can be replaced by the RHS of the production again ASB. So I will get this. Now if I apply the production number 2, 2 means you can just replace capital S with nothing. This means nothing. So S is taken out, and here you are deriving a string of small letters which is actually A square P square. And here again you can see that this is the language. And when we learn about this, we can see that context free grammars and push down automata are equivalent in power. Given one representation, you can automatically obtain the other. So we will be learning about push down automata and context free grammars as formal representations of context free languages. And after context free languages, we will discuss about pumping lemma, which is a statement which you can use to prove that certain languages like a to the power n, b to the power n, c to the power n, where n is greater than or equal to 0, a very similar language, but c's are also there. You can prove using pumping lemma for context free languages that this is not a context free language. Okay. And after context free languages, we will discuss about the next powerful class of language which is called context sensitive languages, and the automata accepting this class of language is called linear bounded automata. Here is the generic structure of a linear bounded automata, and what is it? You have a finite length tape, here again finite, where maybe the input is stored after the left hand marker. This is the input, and we can assume that all the other tape symbols are blank. This is called a blank symbol, meaning nothing is there. Okay, so this is linear bounded automata, and unlike in the case of finite state automata and push down automata, here it is a read write head. You can see both way arrows. So it's a read write head. You can read or write. You can say that okay, I am reading the left hand marker, then I can say that you replace this with something else that you can do. Now to understand how a linear bounded automaton works, let us look at an example. Now suppose that you are given with this input, that is a square, b square, c square, then all blank symbols, and you assume that you start with the state p, what you can do is you can have a linear bounded automaton which in a number of steps do this. So it replaces the first A, first B and first C with a star. So actually matching that number of A's, B's and C by putting a star. Then after what you can do is it finishes doing so in state R. You rewind to this, okay, unlike in the case of push down automata and finite state automata, here you can move to the right or left. Okay, after coming here you move all the way to the left. In the next round what you can do is you can mark the next A, next B and next C, and you can easily design a machine in such a way that you will get all stars marked by replacing all A's, B's and C's if and only if the input is of the form A raised to n, B raised to n, C raised to n, and hence you are now getting a linear bounded automaton for this language which is not a context free language. So you are getting a proof that context sensitive languages are more powerful than context free languages, and the automata representation for context sensitive languages is linear bounded automata. And after this we will be discussing about a grammar representation of context sensitive languages, and the grammar is called context sensitive grammar. It's very easy to remember, context sensitive grammar. I am giving you an example of a context sensitive grammar. As usual, you can start with the start symbol of the grammar capital S, and suppose I use production number 1, this capital S can be replaced by RHS. So this is what I will get. Now suppose I apply production number 2 for this capital S. So what will I get? Small a, b, c will be there, but the capital S will be replaced by small a, b, c, this RHS. Now suppose I apply production number 3 on CB, this CB, then this CB will be replaced by BC, interchanging the position. So this is what I did. Now suppose I apply production number 4. What is it? This small b, capital B can be replaced by small bb. So what I get? I am getting a square, b square, c square. And later when we discuss about context sensitive grammar, you can see that this grammar will produce this language. And we will see that context sensitive grammars and linear bounded automata are equivalent in power. And after context sensitive grammars, we will be discussing about the most powerful class of automata, namely Turing machines. And the structure is very similar to a linear bounded automaton. The only difference is that here the tape is semi-infinite, meaning infinite to the right direction. It is closed here, but towards the right it is infinite. That is the only difference, otherwise it is same as that of a linear bounded automata. And now you have read write head, and for Turing machines we will be discussing them as language acceptor. You can have a language accepted by Turing machine, and the languages are recursively enumerable languages and recursive languages. These are two classes of languages accepted by Turing machines. And what are they? That we will learn when we discuss about Turing machines. And we will also discuss about Turing machines as transducers. Okay, this is the first time we are discussing a machine which can take an input and give you an output other than yes or no. Maybe we can see now an example. Now suppose a Turing machine is given with this input. You are in the state S, and what is the input other than this blank symbol? So it is 1 1 1. You can assume that this is actually representing the decimal number 3 in a unary representation. Unary means only one symbol, just 1. So you can represent 1 using 1, 2 using 1 1, 3 using 111 like that. Okay, and you can have a Turing machine which will eventually terminate in a state t by producing say 9 ones as output, or in general you can have a Turing machine which takes n and produces n square as output. Here it is 3 represented by 3 ones, it produces 9 represented by 9 ones. Okay, so unlike in the case of other automata, here we are going to learn about language acceptors using Turing machines and also as transducers. In fact, we will observe that Turing machines as transducers is as powerful as a digital computer. And so these are actually the basic automata models that we are going to learn. And after Turing machine, we will discuss about an undecidable problem which is called the halting problem of Turing machines. And what is it? Given a Turing machine M and an input x to M, say 1 cube or whatever, determine whether the Turing machine M will finish its computation or processing. See, given an input x to a Turing machine M, whether the Turing machine M will finish its computation on x or continue run M on x forever. So, we have to determine whether a given Turing machine M on a given input x will terminate or not. Okay, this is what is called halting problem. And Alan Turing proved that it is not a decidable problem, and we will discuss about the proof also. And that is all about automata and corresponding other representations. And finally, we shall recollect the Chomsky classification of languages, and where in fact we can classify that. No need to remember all these things from this lecture. Maybe in the last lecture of this course, you can recall that okay, these are all the classes of languages that you learned. The least powerful class of language is regular, REG, regular, and in regular languages, example is starting with A and ending with B. From the set of all strings over AB, starting with A and ending with B is a regular language. And in this course, we are going to learn various representations for a regular language: deterministic finite state automata, non-deterministic finite state automata, regular grammar, regular expression, and also Myhill-Nerod relations, an algebraic representation of regular languages. So that is the least powerful class of language in Chomsky classification. And then the next powerful class of language is deterministic context-free language, and the corresponding automata is called deterministic push-down automata. Here is an example language: A to the power n, B to the power n. And we will see that non-deterministic context-free languages are more powerful than deterministic context-free languages, unlike regular, where both deterministic and non-deterministic versions are same. But in context-free, you have both deterministic context-free languages and non-deterministic context-free languages. Okay, and here is an example: set of all even length palindromes, set of all strings W followed by reverse of W. And then the next highest class of language is context sensitive languages, and we will be discussing about the linear bounded automata representation and context free grammar representation. And example language is this: A to the power n, B to the power n, C to the power n. And then we have recursive languages represented by what are called total Turing machines. And the most powerful class of languages are called recursively enumerable, represented by Turing machines. This is actually a restricted class of 2D machines, total 2D machines. That is, 2D machines which terminates on all input string is called total 2D machines, and the corresponding language is called recursive. And in general, a 2D machine is allowed to loop or not halt or not stop for an input, and then the language is called recursively enumerable, and the corresponding grammar is called unrestricted grammar. An example of language is halting problem, and all these languages which we discussed here are recursive. So this is Chomsky classification of languages, and these are the various topics that we are going to learn in this course. So in the last overview lecture and in this lecture, we have discussed about the topics that we are going to learn in this course. We saw that this is a foundational course in computer science which provides the basic materials that you have to learn for learning various other subjects in computer science, like compiler construction, algorithms, digital circuits, software engineering, testing, verification, etc. And we saw that we shall start our discussion about regular languages, and under regular languages we shall learn about automata representation, which is deterministic finite state automata and non-deterministic finite state automata. And we shall also see a number of other equivalent representations of regular languages, namely regular grammar, regular expression, and Myhill-Nero relations. And we shall also discuss about two necessary conditions for regular languages, which is thumbing lemma and ultimate periodicity. Both can be used to prove that certain languages are non-regular. And after regular languages, we shall learn about context-free languages, where push-down automata is the automata representation, and we have context-free grammar. And after that, we will be discussing about a necessary condition for context-free languages called pumping lemma, which we can use to prove that certain languages are non-context free. And after context-free languages, we shall learn about context-sensitive languages represented by linear bounded automata and equivalently by context-sensitive grammars. And after context-sensitive languages, we shall discuss about Turing machines, the most powerful class of automata. And in Turing machines, we shall discuss two different kinds of applications. One is language acceptance, just like other class of automata, and the other application is like a digital computer, that is, it can take an input and produce the output for a function, for any computable function. And finally, we shall discuss about halting problem of Turing machines, and we shall prove that the halting problem is an undesirable problem. Then we shall recollect the classification of languages in Chomsky hierarchy, and we shall wind up this course with that. Now we may discuss about some logistics about this course. About the assessment, continuous internal evaluation is recommended by the syllabus for out of 25 marks. Sorry, out of 50 marks. This is a typo, this must be 50. Attendance 10 marks. Continuous assessment test, you may be having two internal examination, 25 marks for both the examinations. The total mark is 25. Then you have assignment, which is again continuous. So I will be giving you exercise problems starting from the first lecture The moment I say this is an exercise, you are expected to solve that problem, and you are also expected to be ready for an online quiz based on the exercise problems given. And it's very important that you are solving the exercise problems, because solving the exercise problems that I am going to give you is very important to understand actually what topics we are discussing in this course. So the continuous assessment will, for assignment, will be actually assessed using online quizzes, okay, and all the quiz questions will be based on the exercise problems given. And you have 50 marks for continuous internal evaluation by the teacher. So I will be giving you marks out of 50. Then you have the university end semester examination out of 100 marks. And it's more important to see what you want to get eligibility for writing the university examination, which is 75% of attendance and no pending disciplinary action. So it's very important. And the textbook that I am following is Automata Theory and Computability by Dexter C. Kozer. And these are the outcomes, or what you are expected to do after completing this course is clearly stated in the syllabus by these 5 outcomes. Maybe you can read it offline. And with this, we are finishing the overview lectures and looking forward to see you all in the first lecture, that is the next lecture. Thank you.